right, hello everyone. How are you all doing? We good? Yeah. Thank you so. Woo! Yeah, I like that. It's the Americans in the room. We can trust them to make something. Right, thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to be here with you and to see some familiar faces as well. For anyone I haven't met, my name is Becky. I'm Director of Retail Strategy here at Movable. So I work closely with our retail clients to help them build and deliver personalisation frameworks. I've been with Movable for about 2.5 years now, but prior to that I actually spent 10 years working brand side, predominantly in fashion and beauty retailers, so leading CRM and loyalty teams there as well. So really excited to be here with you today to share the findings from our latest consumer research report, Audience of One. A little bit about the report before we dive in. It's really designed to get to the heart of what shoppers actually want to see in their email and in-app inbox. So to help us unpack that, we quizzed 3,000 consumers in the UK, US, Canada and Ireland on the types of information that help them in their purchasing decisions and what leads them to disengage as well. So in this session, I'm going to share a few key takeaways from that research and also pair those findings with some best-in-class examples from retailers who are really leading the pack when it comes to personalisation. So diving right in here, the headline finding from our research report was that personalisation directly correlates to increased purchase behaviour. 61% of customers that we surveyed said that they're more likely to make purchases from brands that personalise customer interactions. And when it comes to channel preferences, our results highlighted a clear preference for email and in-app personalisation. So 54% of respondents said that they prefer receiving personalised email content, and 48% showed a preference for in-app recommendations. Now, perhaps not surprising, it was the younger demographics who preferred in-app messaging over and above email, but also over and above social media advertising as well. So 62% of 18 to 34-year-olds said that they're more likely to make a conversion after receiving a personalised in-app message. If we move beyond that immediate conversion driver, our research also showed a strong correlation between personalised communications and long-term customer loyalty. So 68% of our respondents said that they're likely to remain loyal to a brand if that brand is engaging and building a personal relationship with them. And really interestingly, 46% took that further still and told us that personalisation actually helps them trust a brand. So I think that's really interesting. In this era of increasing customer fluidity, we've all heard a lot about loyalty and the declines in loyalty today. So personalisation can offer a route to build a foundation of trust and scale that long-term loyalty. So a great reminder for us as marketers, and often for our C-suite as well, that the goal of personalisation isn't always about driving that immediate next purchase. So this Tesco campaign is a really great example of how personalisation can reinforce customer loyalty. Now, this is something that's sent at the end of the year, and it includes various data-powered modules that you can see highlighted here. So the one on the sort of top left there is taking the really simple data point of the customer's preferred day to make an online shop. And what we're doing is animating that in this really nice GIF. Next to that, you can see an animation of the total number of points that somebody has accrued over the course of the year. Below that, you can see the live club card points balance, and also this progress bar, which charts the delta to the next reward as well. So how many more points do you need before you get your next voucher? And then my personal favourite, the one on the bottom here, what we're doing here is calculating the number of savings that the customer has made over the course of the last 12 months by using their club card. So how many club card vouchers have they made, and what does that look like in monetary terms? What you'll notice on this campaign as well is that there's no commercial messaging, right? There's no product, there's no offer messaging. It's really about using personalisation to build a relationship with the customer and not just driving that immediate purchase as well. And Tesco actually received thank you emails from their customers as a result of sending this, which, having been in email marketing, makes a nice change from the please unsubscribe me from your mailing list campaigns. So sticking with the topic of customer loyalty, another interesting find from our research was that customers who feel loyal to a brand are acting on that loyalty in a number of different ways, and that isn't always tied directly to purchasing. So most notable of those behaviours was that 60% of customers told us that they're willing to share more information, more data about themselves with brands that they feel loyal to. So at a time when third-party data is being phased out and first and zero-party data is even more important, encouraging customers to feel comfortable to proactively share their preferences is key. We've seen a couple of examples in previous talks today as well of this progressive polling tool, and it's a really great one to help capture that customer intent. This is geared around gifting season, and for any retailers in the room, gifting is obviously extremely important. Q4 is very important to us, but it's also quite problematic when it comes to personalisation. It can skew the data that we have about our customers. And if you think about this from your own personal lens as a consumer, you've probably been in that situation where you bought a gift for a friend or a family member, and then for weeks on end, you're retargeted with that product or categories that are similar to, and actually it's not really that relevant to you, right? And that's why I really love this campaign from online retailer Very. So what they're doing here is asking customers who they are gifting for over the Christmas season. And the customer can click on the campaign, gifts for her, gifts for him, gifts for kids, and it takes them through to a relevant category landing page, as you'd expect. The magic behind that is that in the subsequent email that the customer receives, we're automatically pulling in products from the relevant category. So the key thing here is that it's not multiple different campaigns for the team to set up. We know it's busy, it's Christmas time. We're actually automating all of those product inclusions and making sure it's a really relevant experience for the customer. So shifting gears slightly here, as we've just seen, personalisation can elicit trust, it can help us build brand loyalty, and it can absolutely encourage customers to feel comfortable about sharing their data. But whilst all of that's true, our survey respondents also told us that privacy is front of mind for them as well. And when we asked them, what are your top concerns when sharing information about yourselves with brands, 46% said that they had concerns about their data being stolen. 46% had concerns about their data being sold, 45% had concerns about their data being stolen, and 25% cited a lack of privacy. So these are very real concerns for your customers. The good news is that our survey respondents also told us that the antidote to those concerns was the demonstration of value in exchange for that data. So put simply, customers are happy to share their preferences if they see the instant benefit of doing so. So this is a really good reminder for us all as marketers that it isn't about collecting data for the sake of having it. There needs to be a really strategic lens on what data you need to deliver great experiences and how you're going to use that, crucially, to immediately reflect value back to your customer. So we can't capture data and sit on it for weeks. We need to translate that into great experiences for our customers, and we need to do it quickly. When data is used to helpfully personalise the experience, customers are broadly willing to share. So 80% of our respondents told us that they'd feel comfortable sharing their gender in exchange for relevant and personalised communications. And around 2/3 would also share things like their age, their marital status, and their birthday as well. And then getting more granular than that and moving beyond that segment level information, our survey also found that customers are willing to share other preference data too. So a few things that stood out to me here. 67% of respondents said that they would feel comfortable sharing their ideal price range with brands. So something that I think is particularly helpful for consumers and marketers alike in the current climate. 65% said that they're willing to share their product or category preferences. And then I was quite surprised by how many people were happy with this, but just under half were comfortable sharing their order and their search history. So quite a wealth of data on your personal history there to make for a better experience. And I think that final figure there, that half of customers who would be happy to share their order and search history, really gets to the crux of this creepy line that we often talk about in marketing, right? How much personalisation is too much? When does it become a little bit creepy? What that tells us is that it's not about what data we're using, it's about how that data is used. And again, the key message from the survey is that it should add value to the customer experience. So what does that look like? So I'm going to go through some examples of how retailers can activate the data that consumers share with them. So as we just saw, 67% of consumers feel comfortable sharing their ideal price range in exchange for personalised communications. So in this example, this jewellery retailer targets the recipients with products that fit within their customer's specified budget. Now, that could be data that we're getting from a poll, as you saw in the Very example earlier, or it could be data that we're gleaning from their on-site behaviour. So what are they browsing? What have they purchased recently? And then likewise, 55% of customers said that they feel comfortable sharing their fit or their body type in exchange for personalised communications. And this example really highlights how this retailer is activating that size data in a really valuable way. So you've got two different campaigns here. The one on the top is a shop by size call to action. You've probably seen many of these across different communications and online as well. The key thing with that is that we're capturing that click intent. So as soon as somebody has given us that size data, in the very next campaign, we're able to automate the banner that they see, which you can see animating at the bottom there, and make sure we're calling out the size of the shoe that they have told us they are. We're showing a gender-appropriate shoe as well, and we're also making sure that shoe is in stock. So super relevant, and the customer can clearly see how their data is immediately being put to work. So we've talked a lot about value exchange and what happens when we get personalisation right, but what happens when we get it wrong? Well, put simply, customers are pretty harsh. There's pretty harsh consequences. 25% of customers will uninstall an app if you get communications wrong, and 26% said that they would unsubscribe from an email, which is a quarter of your database that would unsubscribe if we got this wrong. And when it comes to motivations for unsubscribing, our research had quite a few insights, but a couple that stood out to me. Next to frequency, it was irrelevant content that is the largest leader of unsubscriptions. 39% of our respondents cited that concern. So again, kind of harking back to my days as an email marketer, I would often spend many, many hours sat around a table with my team trying to determine quite subjectively what the content calendar was going to be for that week. What's the seasonally relevant message? What did we do last year? Should we annualize that? What our customers are telling us is that that's not relevant. Unless it's relevant to them, they will unsubscribe. Also, 22% of respondents said that they would unsubscribe because the content is too focused on selling, which brings up this interesting paradox of how do we hit our commercial goals versus also build that customer centricity and not always be pushing commercial messages. When we asked our survey when are communications most helpful for your brand, our findings highlighted a fairly even split across the journey. So most consumers found that brand communications were most helpful during the initial research phase, but just under 20% of respondents also shared that it was after that initial research phase, so after visiting a brand's website or the app, that communications were most helpful. So think about kind of browse retargeting and those abandoned cart messages as well. A further 20% wanted brands to communicate during that final decision-making phase, so just as they're about to make a conversion. And then interestingly, once the conversion has taken place, customers still want brands to share helpful and personalised information. 13% of our respondents said that communications were most helpful after the purchase had taken place. So key takeaway here is that although conversions often are the goal of any marketing campaign, your customers expect you to continue to personalise the engagement after that conversion has taken place. We've got to be helpful beyond the transaction. It's easier said than done, right? Here's a great example of that in action. This is from Currys, and hopefully a few of you saw their presentation earlier. They're doing some great stuff. Currys take cues from the customer's recent browse behaviour to serve relevant content recommendations that are really designed to inform and guide them through the purchase process. So in this instance, the recipient has been browsing for a TV, which is, of course, a high-ticket item and perhaps not something that consumers buy on impulse. And in recognition of that, Currys retarget the customer with an abandoned browse message. So you can see that at the top there. We're reminding them of their recently viewed product. We're layering on things like social proof and stock urgency messaging there as well. And then just below that, we are pulling in some product recommendations designed to cross-sell. So here's a TV bracket or a gaming console that we think you might like. But then also, I think, crucially with this campaign, the blog articles that are being pulled in right at the bottom there, they're advising the customer on the latest TV news, the latest products, and the latest advice based on that browse. I really like this campaign because it's so effective in striking that balance between commercial goals and also customer centricity. So it's easy to see how this drives conversions and drives revenue and encourages that cross-sell. But that inclusion of helpful content really means that Currys are positioning themselves as an authority in this space and a trusted advisor as well. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up with a few key takeaways here. First off, personalisation equals purchases, sure, but it also can be a route to help us build trust and loyalty. We often see privacy and personalisation as kind of at odds with each other, but the two can coexist if brands demonstrate clear value in exchange for data. And then finally, put your customer in control. As well as your commercial goals, always be thinking about that customer centricity in order to win the hearts and minds of your consumers. If you would like to see the full Audience of One report, please get in touch with your CX teams. We can absolutely share that with you. I'm going to be around today. If you have any questions, please do come and find me. Other than that, thank you very much for your time.